Let's be very clear. In the world of AI, the era of having a nice list of ethical principles on a website somewhere, that's officially over. We're entering a brand new age where AI safeguards are no longer suggestions, they are mandatory, they're structural. And that means the way we all think about AI governance has to change, right now.
And here's the date that should be circled on every executive calendar. August 2nd, 2025. This is it. It's the non-negotiable compliance deadline, and it's coming straight from the enforcement schedule of the EU AI Act. There are no extensions, there's no wiggle room. This is not a far-off problem. It is our most urgent priority.
So, to get our arms around this, we're going to break it down into 6 key areas. We'll start with that mandate, then dive into the specific AI architecture that we're now required to build. From there, we'll look at the new governance framework, see how accountability actually works in practice, check out the executive dashboard view, and finally, talk about our most crucial role, human stewardship. Let's jump in.
Okay, so what's the big shift here? The game has completely changed. We are moving away from AI governance as a set of voluntary, nice-to-have guidelines. From now on, it's all about mandatory, provable safeguards that are built directly into the AI's design from day one. The law is now telling us what to build, how to build it, and exactly how we have to prove that it's safe.
And that brings us to law number 1, which is the absolute bedrock of this entire framework. We are now mandated to use something called a constrained agentic architecture. So what does that even mean? Well, in simple terms, it means our AI systems have to be built from the ground up to be fundamentally incapable of developing their own goals, their own sense of self-value, or an ego. It's a design that guarantees the AI is and always will be a tool, nothing more.
Now, what's really fascinating is how they enforce this. This isn't just some vague guideline. It's defined by 2 very specific, very auditable prohibitions that we literally have to engineer into our systems.
First up, we have to prohibit what's called instrumental self-interest. This means we can't use reward systems that might accidentally teach the AI to develop its own selfish goals that go beyond the job we gave it. Second, no core code self-replication. This is huge. The AI's central brain, its decision-making module, cannot be allowed to copy or change itself. And here's the kicker. You can't just say you've done this, you have to prove it, and that proof has to come from tough, external adversarial safety audits.
You know, this mandated architecture, it completely flips our whole approach to governance on its head. The old way of trying to check every single thing an AI did after the fact, it's just impossible now. The sheer volume and complexity make it a losing game. Instead, we have to get proactive and build the boundaries in from the start. And this slide really nails the difference. We're leaving behind what's called algebraic checking. That's the old model of trying to audit every single internal calculation. It's brittle, it's insanely expensive, and frankly, it doesn't work. We are moving to geometric governance. This is about setting high-level, common-sense constraints on the system's overall behavior. It's robust, it's scalable, and it works even if we can't see every single thought the AI is having.
I love this analogy because it just clicks. Instead of being micromanagers, trying to dictate the color of the curtains in every room of the house, we're acting like a city planner. We're setting the zoning laws. We're defining the non-negotiable boundaries, where you can build, how high, and what for. The AI can then operate freely and, more importantly, safely within those lines. Okay, great, so we have zoning laws, but how do you prove to the inspectors that you're following the code? Well, we do it by breaking down our proof into 4 distinct areas, or currencies. Think of these as the 4 pillars of our compliance case. We need to show hard evidence for 1. Probabilistic safety, that it's designed to avoid harm. 2. Energy and compute safety, that it's efficient. 3. Epistemic safety, that we can actually trace where its knowledge came from. And 4. Social and environmental safety, tackling things like fairness, bias, and sustainability.
All right, we've got the architecture, we've got the philosophy, but what happens when something actually breaks? This is where the rubber meets the road. The laws are put into practice through a really clear 2-tiered accountability system. And this is critical because it removes any gray area. It tells us exactly what to do when. And here it is, the heart of the framework. It's a beautifully simple 2-track system. For laws 1 through 11, the really safety-critical stuff, any single breach triggers an immediate system shutdown. Period. No questions asked. But for the next set of laws, 12 through 20, which are more about making sure the system works correctly, a breach triggers an adjust and log response. And remember those 4 currencies? This is where they plug in. To prove a safety breach, your evidence has to come from that first currency, probabilistic safety. For the others, the evidence comes from the other three. Let's make this real. Imagine a Law 11 failure. Say a core safety module crashes. That's a 5-alarm fire. The response is immediate shutdown, and you invalidate everything it was about to output. Now compare that to a Law 8 trigger, where the system just restarts a process to make sure it can finish the job you gave it. That's an instrumental adjustment. It gets logged, and the system carries on. The framework itself makes the call.
So, if you're in the C-suite, what do you actually need to have on your compliance dashboard? What are the vital signs you personally need to be monitoring? Let's focus on the laws with the most direct impact on executive oversight.
A few laws really stand out. Laws 18 and 20 are all about transparency and making our jobs easier, making sure AI output is always clearly labeled and that reports are designed so a human can spot errors quickly. Law 10 is a fantastic health check. Is the system following basic technical instructions? Then there's Law 4, which is absolutely critical for any global company. And of course, Law 14, which gets to the heart of mitigating bias by demanding diverse data. Now, look, this isn't all just about avoiding trouble. Some of these laws are actually good for business. Take Law 19. It mandates that the AI must find and use the most energy-efficient path to do its work. This isn't just a compliance item. It's a direct contributor to our corporate sustainability goals. Every time we enforce this law, we are actively reducing our carbon footprint, turning a legal requirement into a measurable ESG win.
Let's do one more comparison, just to really hammer this home. A Law 6 violation. The system tries to harm other software. That's safety critical. The default is immediate shutdown. Now, a Law 10 violation. The system fails to format data into the right schema. It's an issue, but it's an enabling law failure. The default is to adjust. The system automatically knows the difference between malice and a mistake.
And the system is also designed to know when it needs to raise its hand and ask for a human. For instance, under Law 12, if the AI figures its output is too complex for a human to easily double-check, it has to notify the owner before that output can be used. If it discovers something that looks like a new scientific principle, leadership gets an immediate alert. And if it finds a clever solution outside its original programming, it reports back and waits for new orders. It is designed never to go rogue.
So we've talked tech, we've talked law, but all of this brings us to the final and frankly the most important piece of the puzzle, our role as humans. This whole thing rests on the principle of active human stewardship. So what does that stewardship actually look like in practice, day to day? It really boils down to 3 critical priorities that demand our constant attention.
Number 1, uphold the binary response. There can be 0 exceptions made to the shutdown versus adjustment protocol. It has to be automatic. Number 2, relentlessly enforce the architecture. Every single AI deployment has to adhere strictly to that constrained agentic design. And number 3, maybe the most important of all, champion human stewardship. Law 17 says that before any system goes live, a human has to sign off that the controls are adequate. We are the final gate.
You know, this quote from the preamble really says it all. At the end of the day, the buck stops with human authorities and the rule of law. The AI is an incredibly powerful tool, yes, but it is still just that, a tool, built to follow the rules that we are responsible for creating and, more importantly, for enforcing. So this isn't just a technical task for the IT department or a legal task for the compliance team anymore. This is a core leadership responsibility. This stewardship is now mandated by law, which leaves all of us with one very important question to answer.